Hello everyone, I hope you are well. Let's dig into some soup. Kind of a big video. I some things I want to break down, and everyone's like, why is Big Bear going crazy? What is going on here? And why is Big Bear running? What is the good, the bad? What is the enthusiasm around it, and what's going on? Because obviously there's a group of us going, yes, Big Bear's undervalued. Yes, Big Bear's got a lot of good things going on. And then there's a group of people going, well, there's a lot of bad stuff too. There's debt. They need more money, all that kind of stuff. Yes, we know all that. We're going to mix it up in a pile here, talk. There are things happening right now that's making Big Bear run here. And one of the big things too is, do we think Big Bear will repeat the cycle it had here back in February when it ran to $10? I think that's possible. It's not a guarantee at this point. We're going to need some more evidence. But we nonetheless are running into a $5, $6 position here with what's going on, and even, beating the market at this point. Big Bear's running, it's not relying on the market. It's just doing very well here. So, friends, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here to listen to me talk, and let's get right into it. So first things first, we're going to obviously talk about Palantir is going to be in this conversation just because of what's going on right now too. But, the main topic here obviously is Big Bear. And one thing that we're seeing right now is this whole new 175, I mean, there's all kinds of estimates from 170-ish to, $200 billion of the Golden Dome missile shield project. And I don't even think they probably know what really it's going to cost. That's just an estimate. I'm sure it'll be more than that. But with that too, this is going to be a huge infrastructure deal. Situation, build, everything, companies involved, AI, all that kind of stuff. Now Canada's like, hey, we want in on this. We want this protecting us too. So it's turning into this big thing, and who knows, it could go farther than this. It could really double in size here. So there's already a lot of companies attached to this project. Okay, it's been out in the open. We've seen this. And some of these companies you can already invest in, obviously SpaceX we can't, but SpaceX is still, supposed to be helping with it, obviously, but obviously because what the technology is. But two, Palantir is going to be in the mix somewhere with this deal. Now obviously Palantir, they're already working with the government. They've been working with the government. They're still getting government contracts. They're getting contracts with other governments too. So this is a company, Palantir, while you're seeing the run on Palantir right now is just, Palantir is just printing money at this point. So it leads us to a conversation too with, you can already invest in companies that are very much in the infrastructure of defense companies. They're making money. They've got bread and butter. It's not going to stop. They're going to keep making a lot of money and probably keep going up in stock share price over time here. Boeing is doing, they're doing big deals right now. L3 Harris, Lockheed. I mean, I don't need to say much more than that. That's, everyone knows that word. So Palantir and Big Bear, I almost asked the question, the bread and butter of these two companies, a lot of it could be essentially defense. These obviously aren't defense companies by any means, but there is an argument too where, as time goes on here, we could say, and I think we're going to be okay with that, most people, because we just want to see that money's going to keep coming in here. But Palantir already making a ton of money, has been, and really what jump started the stock with price push up are defense contracts. Now Big Bear is very much in that conversation at this point. Since November we've been getting these defense deals. Every 45 to 55 days we've been getting a partnership defense deal with the United States government. So I'm seeing a lot of people just say like these are defense companies at this point, and and this is something that like I don't really talk about this, but Palantir gets a lot of protest against it because of all the stuff it's wrapped up in right now with missile defense, all that kind of stuff, being a part of just the defense sector with essentially our government, Trump, all that kind of stuff. So Alex Karp is there's recent altercations with him doing interviews where people just start rioting, screaming war, all that kind of stuff. So Palantir and Big Bear, they're very much wrapped up in this pot of stew, okay? Well, us as investors, I think most of us are going, okay, well, we like this because there's a lot of money, it lasts a long time, and it keeps going up here. So Palantir has already achieved the success. They're already in the pockets of what's going on here. They're making money, and now they're springboarding, and their tentacles are out to where other companies are coming to them and they're working out deals. Good, great, fantastic. Okay, and there's still a heavy conversation to say, well, Palantir still has a lot of room to grow here. This is why I think a lot of us are still thinking that Palantir will easily run back into 130, 140 here sooner or later, start chipping away at it, and maybe by sometime this summer we could be at 150 if things keep progressing the way they are. They could. I mean, imagine tomorrow if they, sketch out this, this golden dome situation, to where, they say Palantir has, they're going to help with X over here, and it's going to be like a $5 billion deal. Just something crazy. So, what do you think that would do to Palantir stock overnight? Oh my God, like $5 billion on top of everything that's been going. Obviously, I'm throwing out numbers here. We're living in a fantasy world here with that, but it could happen, something. I mean, even another $2 billion deal would be amazing. But with that, there's a lot of money going into defense. And I've been talking about this since Trump came into office, because what do we know Trump likes to spend money on? Trump spends all the money on defense. He did this his first term. He's doing it right again, even bigger here the second term. So, and it's for, I mean, honestly, I think this is going to be good here, the Golden Dome situation, but you can be a part of this. So another, like I said, one of the main things we're talking about here, can Big Bear run to $10 here? I don't think $5 at this point is probably out of the question. Big Bear's looking for $5, and this whole lawsuit situation that I know someone's going to bring up, so I go ahead, I'll just address it. It's a situation of, I don't think investors care anymore. They're just like, okay, whatever, we don't care. We know what it is. Law firms are obviously trying to scratch at anything, they can get, whatever crumb they can get from somebody just contacting them and, saying, yeah, Big Bear did me wrong. I don't think investors care anymore. The lawsuit situation, the time limit is almost done. So, Big Bear's pretty much made it out of it. It's not going to affect the future revenues, anything like that. It is what it is at this point. So Big Bear has found itself back up in this nice $4 range here. And even today, we touched, what was the high today? We touched, we were in, almost, we went almost to $4.55 today. Okay. $4.55. That's big. That is really big. Okay, that's great. So, I know already a lot of people have been making a ton of money off of Big Bear, because just the past 3 weeks here, probably longer than that at this point, Big Bear's been offering a lot of positions into it, in and out, buy the lows, sell the highs, and it's been doing very well on top of that. So, I mean, I think a lot of people just in the past 3-4 weeks here have been making a ton of money off Big Bear. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, just 3 weeks ago, we hit another low at $3 with Big Bear, and then it's been climbing. So it's been doing this teeter-totter situation where people have been, it's been a healthy trade system with what's been going on with it. So the big question is, when we saw that run with Big Bear, back here in February 13th to be exact, we started to see a pace movement like this. It started in December. We started to see Big Bear play around this $3, middle $3 zone. Then we broke into $4.50, just like we're doing right now. January, right around January, we were in a $4.53 zone, just like we're at right now. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but we're trying to follow some evidence that we have right now. Then with that, Big Bear sold down to $4. Then we had a dip in January. Big Bear sold down to right under $3, like $2.98. Okay. Then we jumped right back up into $4 in a 40-50 cent range. Then we fell back down to a $3 in high zone, and then boom, we went right into this $7, $9, almost $11 range here with Big Bear in a 48-hour span. So the question at the moment is, are we seeing that play be played out again? I don't know that it couldn't happen again. I think things like this, obviously with Big Bear being so critically, just focused, like laser beam focused right now, investors obviously are paying attention to it. Big investors are paying attention to Big Bear right now. You have to be paying attention to this. Listen, I have been following and yapping my mouth here about Big Bear since September, October of last year. And I don't even know if anybody was talking about Big Bear or anything then. I really don't think anybody was at that point. I don't know, but it was something that I was talking about because Big Bear was starting to get these defense contracts, and I was like, well, this is very interesting. Now, since that situation, months back here, a lot has changed. Big Bear's gotten a lot more government contracts. The newest quarterly that came out was a lot better than what we've seen in the past. It was showing that, yes, we are going into some bigger revenue this year. Maybe not fantastic, but nonetheless, we should have a really good year to at least set us up for next year with what's coming here if they continue on the pace they're continuing on. And still, all these contracts, they have not lined up all at once here. We have not got them all up in a jar and seen what's really going on in there. So in saying that, with the quarterly, so at least by Q2 here with 2025, we should see at least all these new contracts that we know of right now really start to pile up and see what we're dealing with here. So Q2 could actually be pretty decent here with Big Bear. They could actually beat expectations, even by the slightest of margins. It would still be great. But I do think that Big Bear still is holding this. It's a gem. It's a gem nonetheless, because it's holding the enthusiasm, the expectation, it's a lottery ticket almost at this point, because they could get another government contract. They could be a part of what's going on with this Golden Dome situation. Okay, if Big Bear did not have these government contracts already, we would not care. Like, it would just be a little bitty AI stock, probably trading around $1.50 to $1.90, $2.30 on a really good day. And that would be the story of Big Bear, okay? And they would still be struggling for position in the market. They would still be struggling even more to meet quarterlies. And, these quarterlies would be nothing compared to what they would be if they didn't have these government contracts. So Big Bear, it's okay to say we're here just for the government contracts. We are. That is the driving force behind Big Bear right now. But they keep getting them too. So it's going to come to a point where, if they keep getting these government contracts, yes, we're going to see the revenue extremely move here this year. And I do think, they're already a part of what's going on. Who knows? They could get a little slice of the pie here with the defense, this huge defense contract coming up. So I don't know where they'll fit into it, but maybe even if they just got a little sliver of it, it could be life-changing for Big Bear, even if they were to get like the smallest of contracts, like a $500 million contract, for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, even 4 years, it would still be the biggest contract that they have received. Nonetheless, it would be, it would alter the stock overnight. The Big Bear would run to, easily probably an $8 to $10 position, because it would be making more money than SoundHound at this point. And SoundHound is, a $9 to $10 to $12 stock on a really good day. So Big Bear, yes, I see a lot of people say that the Big Bear's undervalued. I completely agree with that comment. I'm not disagreeing with it whatsoever. But listen, I am an active investor in Big Bear, so I will always bring a double-edged sword to the conversation, because I know there's people that are going to say, well, Big Bear's got a lot of debt. Big Bear, what if they don't get more deals? Big Bear, they haven't had great guidance. They haven't had, a real sound laser beam focus on where they're at with their company. I agree with all those things because they're true, but things in the last 6 months have aggressively changed with Big Bear. The deals, new CEO, Kevin, who's been with the company, knows the company, and who has a defense background himself, and now Big Bear's getting these defense contracts. I don't think a lot of that's by accident. So friends, I think there's a lot more to chew on here than what we suspect with Big Bear, and I do think the narrative has changed once again with Big Bear. When we lost that $10 position with Big Bear back in February, it was to be expected, obviously, because at that point, Big Bear there's like, I think at least two or three government contracts that have happened since that day. We've had, then the market fell. We had, all the AI stuff happened, then the tariff stuff happened. So Big Bear survived all that, and it held some decent ground. And now we're back up in this walk here. So Big Bear has been building these chambers up into this, $3, $3.50, $4. Now we're in $4.50 range. $4.50 range was the last hold before we really shot up into a 7 to a 8 to a 9 to a 10, a little over $10 position here with Big Bear back in February. So can history repeat itself? Probably. Who knows? And just to mention Palantir, I think Palantir, yes, is doing great. I do see that Palantir and Big Bear, I think they're going to be stocks and, they're going to be companies more or less that are going to be very interesting to hold here into the future. I think Palantir has chiseled and whizzled its way into what is needed here, this technology that they have, and that they are finding a place here. So I know a lot of people are saying that Palantir is a one-hit wonder, since that it's going to start dying off here sooner or later. I would argue with that, and I just did a video last night about that, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, because I know people are like, please don't repeat all that. There's a lot more to come here with Palantir, and we already know that Q2, Q3 pretty much so far this year with Palantir, it's going to be locked in, it's going to be good, and Palantir at least is going to find $1 billion quarterly here before it maybe slows down, okay? And the Palantir, the progression of it is still increasing here because they're still getting deals. They're still getting deals. In this Golden Dome deal situation, however this plays out time-wise, money-wise, company-wise, it's going to be a long, ongoing process with a lot of money. And like I said, what do we know that Trump likes to do? He likes to spend money on defense. Okay, good, great, grand. We know that. So that's going to open the doors here for a lot of us to push into that as investors. Listen, this is investing. You push into where things are at right now. When the EV market was hot, you pushed into the EV market. When the cannabis market was hot for a moment, you pushed into it. This is just kind of how things are going in the market right now. And AI, when AI is hot, you push into it. So, friends, listen, I want to wish everyone the best of luck here. I am curious to see what Big Bear is going to do. But listen to, if Big Bear falls here a little bit and sells down to $4 to high $3 range, don't panic. I would be very careful of panic selling. Don't be like, oh my God, I'm just going to take the loss and I'm going to get out of here. People made that mistake. Listen, this is where the conversation gets hard, because listen, if you don't be a part of Big Bear if you cannot take the heat, okay? Because this happened last time and people were coming at me about it. Like, they were like, oh, dude, I sold out of Big Bear when it hit, $5, and I maybe I should have stayed in it. It maybe, it's like, listen, you've got to roll with it. You can't be greedy. You can't be scared. Take profit when you can take profit, and don't be scared to let things run. If Big Bear runs to $5 here, more than likely, I suspect it to run to $5.50. If it runs past $5, we obviously will probably be running into a $6 to $7, $9 range. Because what do we know? We know that, listen, there's a lot of year left, and Big Bear more than likely will capture some other deal here sooner than later. Some kind of deal, whether it's government or something, some other agency, they will capture another deal here. It's coming. So Big Bear, it's undervalued, obviously. They're going to get debt wrapped up here, we're hoping here. This lawsuit situation, it's wrapping up here within the next 2 weeks. And it's turning into something, I think, unique. And I think investors, their sniffers are onto it. They are onto what's going on here with Big Bear, that it could be a very unique situation and a little bit of a lottery ticket here that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. Listen, I remember 3 years ago when Palantir was sitting around a $6 to $8 stock, and people were saying, like, this is not going anywhere, that no one's going to use this technology, they're never going to get more than what they're doing now. Boy, did those people eat crow. I don't want to compare Palantir and Big Bear right now together in the sense of, that Big Bear could follow the path of Palantir. There are very much similarities. I will not argue that. There are crazy similarities to how paths have, found each other. Because I was there watching Palantir when they started to get government contracts. I was here just moments ago when, Big Bear started to get these government contracts. But Palantir back then, was at a lot higher position with revenue than Big Bear is right now. So Big Bear, yes, they need deals, they need good deals, they need debt paid off, and I think that can happen here. Listen, where we were back in October, November with Big Bear, my confidence was even more weak. Like if you were there listening to me then, you will completely comment and tell me, because you know I was like, I don't know, this is good, but I don't know. Listen, we are in such a such healthier and better place right now with Big Bear than I could have ever expected. I mean, like it's really good compared to where we were just 5 months ago. So friends, I want to wish all of you the best of luck. I'm excited to see what the rest of the week brings here. Like I said, if we have pullback, which I'm sure we will, just decide what you want to do. But be careful, because Big Bear is already showing that it's looking for higher range here, and it might find it. We might see something take place here. It's very interesting to see what could if we get $5, I have no doubt that it will keep climbing into 5 something. And if we get 6, ooh, okay. And now we're liking what's going on here. Something's happened once again. Friends, take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.